not conducive for deploying solar. So it was not really that easy, and I think all of us here in this room who started this journey knew that it was a major challenge for us to get to that point. Right now, it is very clear that Asia is leading the deployment globally, and if you will look at this, slide, 52% of that terawatt installation came from Asia, with China leading, with India as part of it, Japan, also Southeast Asia are the major contributor to this half a terawatt deployment. And it's a very diverse composition of that big achievement. And I think the challenge really for us is to be able to penetrate more areas. And as Mr. Yongping has said, this is really what we need to do in the next 10 years or even shorter, because our irradiation in these areas are really conducive for solar. So the physical environment is there for us to be able to move ahead and deploy more solar in these areas. Our manufacturing sector has really led the way. In 2009, the prices were in as much as 2,500, and by 2012 that has dropped to 1,000. By 2016, it was less than 500. So really, one of the major push that solar deployment is the decline in the prices of solar. And this is something that we will look forward to in this first session, because our speakers will be discussing the way forward of how or where the productivity will come from, so that the deployment of solar can happen at a faster pace than the last 10 years. Because we were already at the gigawatt deployment, or in the terawatt, half a terawatt deployment, most of deployments in solar have experienced some grid issues. And this is when the storage have came into the fore in our solar deployment globally. And there is every indication that prices of storage is going the way of solar energy. And this slide, which was issued by Bloomberg, tells the story that as we move forward, the next stage in the solar deployment, the pairing of solar and storage will be driven by the prices of storage globally. So what next? And this is what session 1 would like to address. One is the topic on the deployment of solar manufacturing in China. And this will be discussing the possibility of geographical dispersal of what is now a China-centric manufacturing. And as I introduce the members of the panel, can you please come up so that you can take your seat? And that will be discussed by Dr. Jayung. You see here, he's a Senior Operations Officer and Director of International Development Cooperation at the Institute of New Structural Economics in Beijing University. Can you please come up? The second speaker will discuss about thin films, and he is the CEO of Hanergy, also a manufacturing one of the manufacturers in China, and he has also experience in the telecoms. He was the CEO of ZTE Philippines and India, and he was the sales director of ZTE. Can I call on James Cheng of Hanergy Thin Film Power Group Philippines? Can we please give him a big hand? The other speaker who will talk about global standards and certification both in China and Asia is from IRENA. He is he's based in Bonn, and is the program officer of IRENA, of the Innovations and Technology Center. And he has been in IRENA since 2012. Can I call Mr. Chen? And last but not least is the Marketing Director of ET Vivant Solar Corporation. He will talk about smart grids. And can I call on Mr. Lee Kevin Lamela? Yes, okay. So each one will be given 8 minutes. And after that, no, 12 minutes. And after everyone has given their presentation, we will have an open forum. So just reserve your answers until the last part of the session. So can I call on Dr. Yu?
Thanks, Mrs. Chairman, and good evening, everybody. It is my great pleasure and honor to be here and to share with you about the solar PV development in China, and especially the potential opportunities of relocation to other countries. And I come from Peking University, and we are working together with many developing countries and about the job creation and investment promotion. However, myself, I am not expert in solar sector, but we find that solar sector is a typical sector that will have interacted with many other countries, especially will create the collaboration with too many developing countries. So today, I just want to share with you the current solar PV development in China and the potential opportunities of international relocation. Now here, according to the RAN 21 statistics, we can see that China is, in terms of renewable energy investment, China is the #1 in this field. And in terms of such as the hydropower, solar, wind, etc., and all this field, China invested the biggest amount of money here. And in terms or focus on solar industry, here I just separate the whole value chain of solar PV. We can see including the upstream, polysilicon wafer, and the midstream cells and modules together with PV plants, the application. All this field, China now has already taken a dominant place at the global level. That means all these are superior than the half of global level. And here, but in China, actually the solar PV development started from midstream, because at the year of 2000, Germany, the German government has just announced a policy, a Renewable Energy Act, and they encourage many the solar deployment in Germany, and with a very attractive and incentive feed-in tariff. So at that time, so many Chinese companies, especially the private company, because they are very sensitive to market, so they invest in that field. And from the year 2006 to 2007, there are already 10 Chinese companies listed overseas, and maybe there is a company name is Shangde, it's very famous, and so all these companies investing in midstream, they got a very quick increase in terms of profit, the return, etc. And for example, there are 8 companies listed in US and with the market value of $20 billion US. So it's a very huge field to invest. And now here is a chart representing the upstream. Due to the huge and very quick increasement in midstream, they create a huge demand for upstream. And especially at that time, the midstream just import the upstream from South Korea or from United States. So here there are very big profit room, and always it attracts too many Chinese private companies to invest in. So we can see that by 2018, the China's polysilicon production exceeded 250,000 tons. It's 58 times than that of 2008. So it's also the upstream has developed dramatically. And of course, in terms of downstream, that means the application of solar PV, the solar generation, and you'll see it is very clear that China, by the end of 2017, the China's PV installed capacity is already 53 gigawatt and accounting for 54% of the global total. So all this, along with the whole value chain, actually the solar PV development in China goes very well. Now, of course, we see that solar development is linked closely with Chinese government industry policy. And we can see, especially after the year 2011, because some European countries, the market there is already saturated, and also there are some international trade policy like anti-dumping, etc. So before that, more than 98% solar PV is exported to other developed countries. However, when the conditions change, so they do not have enough need for Chinese PV, solar PV. So at that time, the Chinese government just want to develop Chinese own domestic market for the solar PV. So the biggest or the most incentive policy is feed-in tariff policy. So the Chinese, and we have some detailed number here. At the year of 2011, actually Chinese government do not divide different standards of feed-in tariff, but from after the September of 2013, that we have different tariff according to the solar endowment of different regions, and now the trend is a decrease. So the final goal is maybe the tariff for the solar will be equal to the tariff of thermal power in the long term. And here also, actually in China, the subsidy is around 0.3 US cents, and but compared to the subsidy in Germany is comparatively very low. There, the tariff in Germany is around 26 times higher than China. And there is another big problem is arrears in the renewable energy subsidies payment. Now the gap is around 100 billion renminbi in terms of the whole clean energy, and where the solar, the gap in solar, in scale, solar is around 60 billion RMB. So many small private companies, due to the delay of the subsidy payment, they are closed down. And here is some challenge for China's PV manufacturing. Of course, this table shows the overcapacity, and we can see in terms of all the value chain, there are the utilization rate is comparatively lower, and also so now the Chinese company want to relocate to other countries, and we will see what are the potential. And here is the most updated data from IEA about the electricity access to different countries. We can see now for Africa, we have almost half of the population there still suffer from electricity shortage. Even for Asia, we have around 10% population do not have electricity access. So that means the huge need, and also means the huge opportunity or potential of China's all solar PV relocation to other countries. And here, are the distribution, geological distribution of the population without access to electricity. And here I'm so happy to see that with Mrs. Chairman, we are also attracted by this picture, and the people that here the color, the most dark color means that these countries are short of electricity. However, we see that all these countries, it is very rich in solar resources, or is endowment in solar resources. So we just think about, it means huge opportunities. However, how we can collaborate with the China's oil production capacity and with the huge, big other needs or market. And yes, as all the companies are very sensitive to the market needs, so now we are already seeing that many of Chinese companies in cells or in modules have already invested in other countries. And here are the increasement of investment. And also, that means they are very huge, intensive. For example, for Chinese companies, there are three biggest reasons that they want to relocate their production capacity. One is to avoid the anti-dumping from the developed country, and the second is because for many countries they have their own local content requirement of some for solar PV, so they should invest in the host countries and then produced locally there. And also, of course, solar sector is also a labor-intensive sector, and now during the past 10 years, the labor cost in China increased dramatically, and compared with the labor cost of neighboring countries, such as in Vietnam is only 50% of China's, and in 80% about Thailand. So all these reasons push the Chinese companies to relocate their production capacity in other developing countries. And here, but some challenges, still we have too many challenges, especially for the developing country. One is policy, because especially at the initial stage, very beginning of PV development, they need strongly, or they rely on strongly the government incentive policies. But for some developing countries, the government do not have enough attractive policies for the foreign investors. So they are still hesitate to invest. And the second is technology barrier. And of course, the third one is financing. And generally now, the financing cost is comparatively quite higher than the other countries. It's around 2 to 3 times higher. So all these challenges just raise a problem, how we can start at least. So I think here is a very smart way, and also some way we have already conducted with many developing countries, is industrial park plus microgrid solution. Here, that means full solar in the industrial park, and also that they can produce the solar plants in the park and create a job, and also can be energy supplier in the zone. So that could be a very efficient and effective way to start. And to conclude, actually in China we have experienced 3 phases of solar development. The first phase is from 2000 to 2012, where by the European, especially the German government incentive, and many Chinese companies, especially midstream companies, developed and seized these market opportunities to invest in this field. However, after 2012, due to the international crisis or the developed countries' market has been already matured, so the Chinese government want to develop our own domestic application of solar PV. So all the value chain, including midstream, upstream, downstream, all developed quite well. And now it's the third phase. And now, because the Chinese domestic market is almost matured. So what is about the future? Now it's more like the company's own choices. So they will compare all the production costs and decide to relocate to other countries. Okay, thank you.
So thank you, Dr. Yu, for that very interesting presentation. Can we now call the next presenter, Mr. James Chen of Hanergy, who will just share with us trends in innovation in the thin film module manufacturing sector. Mr. Chen.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, thank you, Dr. Jai, invited me to join this forum. I'm very glad and honored to introduce the Hanergy and its new thin film solar technology. Yeah. First, allow me take 1 minute to introduce Hanergy. Hanergy is a multinational clean energy company and leading the thin film solar power. It established in 1994. The headquarters in Beijing currently have a staff 15,000. In 25 years, we only do one thing, is clean power. We'll first start from the small scale hydropower, then bigger scale hydropower. In 2009, we start to focus on the thin film. So this is our hydropower station, the largest private hydropower station on the world. Which is in Yunnan province, 30% bigger than the Hoover Dam. This gives a lot of financial support to develop the new technology of solar power. So we have a global knowledge R&D center in United States, in Germany, in Sweden, and in China. So we have 4 technology for thin film, which is a solid ball. Based in Germany, and Mia Soleil and GSE Arta device is based in United States. So this is our Hanergy scientist team. We have our own Hanergy patent, which over 10,000. So this is our core technology called thin film cell. It's very light and soft. I can put it in my pocket. So the solid ball is glass-based thin film, which is efficiency is 21%, and the Mia Soleil is 19.5%. GSE is 18.5%. The Arta device is very high, is reached to the 31%. So what's the future of the thin film? It's transparency, it's high degree of flexible, and excellent performance in the low light condition. It's generated power from the sunrise to the sunset and leading high temperature performance. It can work from minus 40 degree to 85 degree. And it has different colors and shapes, and of course it's very easy to install. So thin film, we think it is the future of the solar technologies. It's not only the conception, it's already it's related. It's happening right now. So next, I will introduce our product merged with the thin film technologies. First, this is a roof tile we call a hand tile. It merges the thin film technology into roof tile. So each tile is like one tree generated power. So we have different colors and different shapes. This is a triple curved. We also have the flatter roof tile. So the second product is hand wall. Hand wall is to replace the commercial building, the curtain glasses wall. So it's make every building like a small power station. So we have different colors. Each per square meter, the capacity is 150 watts. So it can save up to 30% of the electricity bill for each building. We also have the soft solar module. Just I showed the thin film. We can make the module like a carpet. It's very, very light. Each per square meter around only 2 kg. So it's very easy to install. You just lay out the module, clean the TPO, then just stick the module on the roof, on the wall, anywhere, and it can reuse again. So this is a solar glass-based thin film module. It's like a traditional one, but it's more light and more easy to install. And this is for the umbrella. We have also developed the thin film solar to the personal consumer part. This is a solar umbrella, so you can put this umbrella in the hotel, in the beach, in your personal garden. In the daytime, you can charge your mobile phones, and then in the night, generate the power without any cable. The capacity is 50 watt. It's like two trees. So it's contributed to the environment. It's like a small mobile stations. So they are this product and can combine together. It's like a small power network. I'm going to give an example, a very typical example case in some resort beach. So we have the installation solid-bro modules and 684 pieces, the roof tile 440 pieces, the Mia Soleil module, soft module 75 pieces, the hand wall 63 pieces, the umbrella put on the beach is 34 pieces. So it's so we put roof tile like this, can generate the power 1 year is 19.8 megawatts. The 63 pieces hand wall, the capacity is 8.82 kilowatt. So every year we can generate power is 60.5 megawatts. The Mia Soleil soft module put on the roof, put on the wall, the capacity is 40 kilowatt, then generated power is 21 megawatt. And the solid-bro can be put on the roof, here is 2,600 pieces. So the capacity is 375 kilowatts. So generated power is 563 megawatts. The umbrella is 34 pieces. So this combined together is like a small power network. What's the benefit contribution to the environment? We can see the total capacity, the annual generated is 610 megawatt, and saving the standard coal per year is almost 200 tons, and reduce sulfur dioxide emission per year is 18.3 tons, and reduce the carbon dioxide emission per year is more than 600 tons, which is a bigger contribute to our environment. So besides this product, we have developed some new products like handbrake and hand rod. This we can use this product to make the road, put in the CBD, to put in the theme park, put in the personal garden. In the daytime, it absorbs the solar power. In the night, generate the power. We don't need to install the street light. It can generate the light in the night. So we also have some personal products like the solar bag, and we can put the softer module on the greenhouse because it's very light, very soft. And we also can develop called rapid developer solar systems, put all the module in the containers and easy to delivery, especially is for the disaster areas in some, if typhoon happened in Philippines, we can quickly deliver this container to the area and spend to the small power stations. So think about the thin film solar technology. It has different ideas we can develop. We can make everywhere, anywhere, like a small power station. It is energy which we did for our society. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. James Chen. I think that is one of the attraction really of the thin film module. Its mobility, its flexibility, and it's very attractive for applications, various applications in the energy space. So moving forward, we'd like to call on Mr. Yong Chen from IRENA to give his presentation.
Good morning, everyone. And first, let me thank ADB and to invite IRENA to be into this is a very unique actually forum, the Asian Clean Energy Forum, and also the Solar Energy Forum. The reason why I say it's unique, I think, is because actually this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where actually new ideas and meeting a lot of entrepreneurs and also practitioners. And I think that's the way actually why we're trying to, and the way we narrow the gap between the political wills and also the actions actually on the ground. As we notice, it's actually the gap is widening, not narrowing. I think that's the platform becoming more and more important actually to make the world towards the more energy and climate sustainability. Just a few words about the IRENA. This is the International Renewable Energy Agency. It's an intergovernmental organization. This is established in 2011, and the headquarters in Abu Dhabi. We have 160 member states. And since 2013, we've been actively participating in ACEF, and great honor actually for us to be part of this family. As Mr. Jay and also the previous speakers mentioned, solar has been dramatically and developing over the past decades. And about 12 years ago, when the solar energy forum started, as Mr. Jay mentioned, this has already been 12 years. That's the total installed capacity globally is only 6 gigawatts. So now it's 500. So you can see the speed. And when I speak of China, because a member of panelists and also speakers mentioned China's growth in 2017 is 53 and gigawatt installations. But when you look at the back actually only not long, only 7 years, 2011. The end of 2011, total installed capacity in China is only 882 megawatts, so less than 1 gigawatt. So that's just to give you actually the sense of how actually fast the solar industry and the installation has been growing. So the point I want to make here is looking forward to the future. So this is the study we've done recently, global energy transition towards 2050. Actually, the goal is to see, by 2050, if you want to be carbon not neutral, but the carbon budget by that time we calculate it's about 10 gigaton. So if we reach that point, and what should we do? And the reference scenario is about 33 and gigaton by 2050. This is the business as usual. And that means that we have to bring down the 70% actually the carbon emissions from now until then. So, and one of the key conclusion we made is that renewables and energy efficiency can contribute to 90%, according to our model calculation, 90% of the carbon to be need to be reduced. And the solar contributing major part of that. That's the context I'm going to talk about that next. And the reason why I said the focus is on the PV in the standards and the quality and assurance. And the reason why I mentioned that because as we know, that is when and growth and continues, and also the applications has been diverse, and the more and more countries actually in using solars, and the climate conditions are very different actually requires, and we have required a little more actually standard to see what kind of technical standards rather than just in previously we have very general universal standards. That's so need to be diversified, and that's the only that not only that actually about investment. So our calculation is from now 2015 to 2050, and about $2 trillion we needed actually invested and for the renewables. So that's another reason why actually protect the investment. If it fails, then you cannot generate revenue.